Hello everyone, and today we're looking at a car that genuinely feels impossible. Not just rare, not just expensive, impossible. This is the Hispano-Suiza H6B Dubonnet Xenia from 1938, and honestly, if you parked this thing beside many modern concept cars, people would still assume the Xenia was the futuristic prototype. That's how far ahead of its time this machine really was. And before we even begin talking about the engine, the suspension, or the incredible aerodynamic engineering, I want you to imagine something for a second. Picture Europe in 1938. Most luxury cars still looked formal and upright. Huge chrome grilles, separate fenders, tall roofs. Cars built more like horse carriages with engines than true aerodynamic machines. And then suddenly this appears. A silver, teardrop-shaped coupe with enclosed rear wheels, flowing bodywork, curved glass, hidden aerodynamics, aircraft-inspired engineering, and doors that open like something from science fiction. Honestly, people in 1938 probably looked at this thing the same way we would react if somebody casually drove a spaceship through downtown traffic today. And maybe the craziest part is this. The Xenia wasn't designed by a giant corporate design studio full of engineers and computers. It was created by a small group of obsessed visionaries who simply believed the future should look beautiful. That's the secret ingredient of this car. Not horsepower, not luxury, not even rarity. The real magic of the Xenia is that it was built during an era when designers still dreamed without limits, and you can feel that in every single curve. The car was commissioned by André Dubonnet, one of the most fascinating automotive personalities of the entire pre-war era. And honestly, calling him just a car enthusiast feels almost insulting. Dubonnet was a racing driver, inventor, military pilot, engineer, and wealthy heir to the Dubonnet aperitif fortune. Basically, imagine if Howard Hughes, Ettore Bugatti, and a futuristic architect somehow merged into one person. After serving as a fighter pilot during World War I, Dubonnet became obsessed with aerodynamics and ride comfort. Aviation changed the way he looked at machines forever. While most car manufacturers were still thinking in terms of traditional automotive design, Dubonnet was already thinking like an aircraft engineer. He believed cars should glide through the air smoothly, ride comfortably at high speed, and look elegant while doing it. And that obsession led directly to the creation of the Xenia. The car itself was deeply personal to him. The name Xenia came from his late wife, who passed away before the project was completed. So despite looking futuristic and mechanical, the car actually carries an emotional story behind it. In many ways, this wasn't just a technological experiment. It was a tribute, a rolling sculpture dedicated to somebody he loved. And honestly, once you know that detail, the entire car somehow feels different. Suddenly, it's not just a strange aerodynamic coupe anymore. It becomes something emotional, almost poetic. The foundation started with a Hispano-Suiza H6B chassis, already one of the most advanced luxury platforms of the era. But Dubonnet didn't leave it stock. Instead of using the standard H6B engine, he upgraded the car with the larger and more powerful engine from the H6C model. Under that endless hood sat a gigantic 7.9-liter inline-six engine, displacing exactly 487 cubic inches. And this wasn't an ordinary six-cylinder engine either. Hispano-Suiza had enormous experience building aircraft engines, and that aviation DNA absolutely carried over into their automobiles. The engine used an aluminum block, overhead camshaft design, dual ignition system, and highly advanced engineering for the period. It produced approximately 160 horsepower at 3,050 revolutions per minute, which in 1938 was extremely serious performance. Combined with the slippery aerodynamic body, the Xenia could reportedly exceed 110 miles per hour. And remember, this happened before World War II. when many normal cars still struggled to reach 50 or 60 miles per hour without sounding like they were about to explode. And honestly, this is where the car becomes truly fascinating, because the Xenia wasn't fast in the brutal, aggressive way modern supercars are. Fast. It was elegant fast. The kind of speed designed for long-distance grand touring across Europe, while looking impossibly glamorous. This wasn't a machine for racetracks. This was a machine for arriving at luxury hotels beside the French Riviera, while everybody nearby silently questioned whether they had accidentally witnessed the future. Power went to the rear wheels through a 4-speed manual gearbox, and the car retained Hispano-Suiza's famous servo-assisted drum brakes, which were among the most advanced braking systems in the world at the time. In fact, the braking technology was so impressive that even Rolls-Royce later licensed similar systems from Hispano-Suiza. But perhaps the single most important technical feature of the Xenia wasn't the engine. It was the suspension. Dubonnet developed his own patented independent suspension system known as the Dubonnet Hyperflex system. Unlike many rigid and uncomfortable cars of the 1930s, the Xenia rode with incredible smoothness. The suspension used enclosed coil springs and advanced geometry designed to isolate passengers from rough roads far better than traditional setups. Dubonnet himself reportedly described the ride quality as having the suppleness of a cat, which honestly sounds exactly like something a wealthy French engineer from the 1930s would say while sipping expensive wine beside an experimental luxury coupe. And somehow, he wasn't wrong. The suspension became so influential that versions of Dubonnet's ideas later appeared in vehicles from General Motors, Cadillac, Buick, and Oldsmobile. So this one strange futuristic French coupe actually helped shape automotive engineering for years afterward. And then there's the body. Honestly, the body alone deserves its own documentary. The shape was designed by aerodynamic engineer Jean-André, while the actual coachwork was hand-built by legendary French coach builder Jacques Saoutchik. The result still looks unbelievable nearly 90 years later. The flowing curves, enclosed rear wheels, stretched proportions, and streamlined silhouette make the car resemble an aircraft fuselage more than a traditional automobile. One of the wildest details is the windshield design. The Xenia used one of the earliest curved panoramic windshield layouts ever seen on a road car. Today, curved glass is normal. In 1938, it looked almost alien. The side windows flow smoothly into the roofline, while the rear body tapers like the tail section of an airplane. And honestly, this is where I think the Xenia becomes more than just a car, because most pre-war luxury automobiles were designed to impress wealthy people. But the Xenia feels like it was designed to impress time travelers. Even the doors were futuristic. Instead of conventional hinges, the car used unusual pantograph-style doors that opened outward while staying parallel to the body. Watching them operate feels more like boarding an aircraft prototype than entering an automobile. The interior continued the same philosophy. High-quality leather, polished trim, elegant gauges, and handcrafted details transformed the cabin into an Art Deco lounge on wheels. But unlike many luxury cars of the era that focused only on decoration, the Xenia balanced luxury with genuine engineering innovation. Everything had purpose. Everything was designed with airflow, comfort, and modernity in mind. And here's the fascinating thing most people don't realize. The Xenia almost looks more futuristic today than many modern cars. Modern vehicles often chase aggressive styling, giant fake vents, sharp angles, and oversized grills. The Xenia feels calm, smooth, elegant, confident. It doesn't scream for attention, yet somehow completely dominates every room, every concours event, and every photograph it appears in. That's real design power. During World War II, the Xenia was hidden away to protect it from destruction, which probably saved the car's existence entirely. After the war, it survived as one of the greatest examples of pre-war automotive artistry ever created. Today, The car remains one of the most admired one-off automobiles in history, and regularly appears at prestigious concours events where it still shocks audiences nearly 90 years after its creation. And honestly, I think the reason people remember the Xenia so vividly isn't because of the horsepower or the rarity. It's because this car represents something we almost lost. A time when automobiles were allowed to be emotional. A time when engineers and designers created machines not only to function, but to inspire people. The Xenia feels like a dream somebody somehow managed to build out of aluminum and steel. And maybe that's why it still feels magical today. Because deep down, when you look at this car, you're not just seeing transportation, you're seeing what the future looked like through the eyes of people who still believed the future would be beautiful. And honestly, I think that's why nobody forgets the Xenia once they see it. And if you enjoy discovering rare machines like this, vehicles that blur the line between engineering, aviation, sculpture, and science fiction, make sure to subscribe to the channel because there are many more incredible automotive stories waiting ahead.